Right, let's speak to legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala on a number of issues to unpack this conversation. Mpumelelo, appreciate your time today. Can you elaborate on the DA's primary concerns, amongst other parties, that the MK parties request to postpone the JSC meeting?
Good afternoon to you and also to your viewers. Well, basically, they were saying, let's look at the logistics and the amount of time and effort that has got into making that the interviews are actually taking place, and let's weigh it against the interim instinct that has been granted. There have been invitations that are there. All the panel members have been flown in and they've been booked, so there's financial implications that are there. But another implication is this one. These are 58 or 54 candidates which are vying or going after the positions of presiding officers. What's going to happen within those vacancies within the provincial divisions? And aren't you going to find yourself in a bit of a predicament with a lot of vacancies taking place and not being yet filled? And you don't know when the matter is going to be finalized. So when are we postponing to? And it must be closer to the end of the year. So those were the concerns of the Democratic Alliance to say, we can't postpone these meetings because at the end of the day, they need to go ahead. There need to be these vacancies that must be filled.
So obviously the issue around the potential 3 million rand wastage is a big issue. Is it likely to be firm on the minds of the judiciary in coming up with a decision?
To a certain extent, yes, but not that much. But I think from the side of the presiding officer, they look at the legal principles that are there. The very first one is that of agency. Are you going to suffer irreparable harm? Are there any other alternative remedies that are there? And those must be looked at within the context of the party, not only Dr. Hlophe on his own. So from the perspective of the party, because they need to participate in these meetings, and they can well away negotiate with the speaker to say, can we send the person who's going to be on a temporal basis representing us within the JSC? They can certainly do that. And that talks about the alternative remedies that are there. And if the presiding officer is of the view that it is a remedy that can be explored, the matter could then be extinguished, and the MK party, Dr. Hlophe, will lose simply on the basis of lack of agency. But on the other side is the one of saying, how important is it that you do have this meeting being postponed just because one individual is not there? That's when you look at the merits of the whole thing. And this must be what must also be taken into account is that there is a live interdict that is there, in which both parties were given an opportunity to go and fight in court. And unfortunately, one party lost, and there's an interdict that is there that must be respected. So will the issuing of something which is contrary to what the initial court has stated be as if there's a sort of an interim or indirect appeal to what has taken place or to the matter?
Now, it has been stated that organs can't stop functioning due to ongoing legal reviews. How do you propose that this sort of thing can be ensured? Is that one of the key aspects that will be considered in this judgment?
Definitely. It's the interest of all parties must be looked at, and they must be balanced. So the interest is that of Dr. Hlophe and the MK party and all the other interested individuals that are there. And also the interest of the JSC must be looked at. But you look at within the context of the law and what the law is saying. So if you are going to say that because one member is not there, the constitution of the JSC is not proper, not the quorum of other individuals that are there, then you must be able to go back and say, let's look at what the constitution is saying. Who should sit in that JSC? From the side of the politicians, how many politicians are supposed to be there? And is it identifiable which political parties they must come in? Now, that section says at least 3 must come from opposition parties. So if you have 3 members from opposition parties, then it means you have a properly constituted JSC, and it can be able to adjudicate matters and decide which presiding officers are going to be appointed on a permanent basis. So it is within that context in which I think it's going to apply greatly, or it's going to occupy the mind of the court to then say, what is it that we can do to make sure that the processes are able to move, we're able to work, or the JSC is able to perform its work. But most importantly, it must not, after having performed all its duties, then be found to be wanting in terms of legal compliance.
Now, we must consider the potential long-term effects on the judiciary and governance if the MK party's request is granted.
Yes, it must be done so within 2 contexts. The one of saying that if you then say this meeting cannot continue before the review proceedings have been done or the initial case has been done and dusted, then you do not have an assurance that the losing party in the main matter, where party still needs to be dealt with, will be okay or will live with the fact that they've lost the matter within the provincial division. They may have said, we want to go to the SCA, we want to go to the Constitutional Court. Then the next question is, what happens between now and that particular point in time? If it's going to take plus minus 24 months for it to get there, does it mean we are going to have a vacancy within our courts for the next 24 months? Those are all the things that need to be considered. But then we come back again to say, if you want to make sure that the integrity of the JSC and the interdict is done, the embargo is done legally, it must be done in accordance with what the Constitution is saying. And if there's a constitutional compliance that is there, regardless of who's going to be left behind, unfortunately as it might be, then it must be so.
The Gauteng High Court expected to deliver its judgment today on whether a bid by MK Party to prevent JSC sessions going ahead without representative will take place. And Mpumelelo Zikalala, legal analyst, giving us his thoughts on that. Appreciate your time this afternoon.